What's going on, guys? SMH Super Mario Hoops back here with the final part of the 10-part series of teams we need in NBA 2K20. It's been long, it's been fun, but now it's time to start the top 10 of this series. So I know everyone's just as excited as I am, so let's just get it started. At number 10, we got the 2015-2016 Cleveland Cavaliers. Obviously, this team was led by King LeBron James. Also, Kyrie Irving, who was the second best player in this team and was basically a superstar as well. Kevin Love was an all-star caliber player on this team too. Yeah, J.R. Smith at the shooting guard spot, and Tristan Thompson was the center. This team had pretty good role players off the bench, such as Richard Jefferson, who was not that bad. Channing Frye was pretty good too. You also had Matthew Dellavedova. Iman Shumpert was a good defender. Timofey Mozgov as a post player. And then even Mo Williams was along for this ride, as he was LeBron's former teammate in his earlier Cavs days. 57-25 record. The Cavs actually had the best record in the East this year, and they got to the finals, and they came back from the 3-1 lead that the Warriors possessed, and they won the title. LeBron brought a chip to Cleveland like he promised. So, yeah, and I think now that this team looks basically really different, except for Kevin Love, who's probably going to get traded very soon, and Tristan Thompson as well, but I mean, he's kind of a role player anyways. I think I got to put him on the list. At number 9, we got the 1963-1964 Cincinnati Royals. This team's led by Oscar Robertson, who basically averaged a triple-double for this season. Jerry Lucas, who was basically like a 2020 guy back then. Jack Twyman, who is also a Hall of Fame player. Wayne Embry, who was also a double-double guy. And then also Tom Hawkins was the starting shooting guard. He was an all-right role player. And then Bob Boozer was a pretty good sixth man for the squad. 55-25 record, got them the second seed in the East. Unfortunately, they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, but a team with Oscar Robertson basically doing just about everything. And then you also got other guys like Jerry Lucas, Wayne Embry, and Jack Twyman. All were very solid for this team as well. This might be one of the best teams from the 1960s. At number 8, we got the 2000-2001 Milwaukee Bucks. This team was led by Ray Allen, who was the leading scorer on this team. Also, Glenn Robinson at small forward was a really good scorer for them as well. Then Sam Cassell, who was basically a pro for this team. He was later to be an all-star as well. And then Mark Pope was really the power forward, and Irvin Johnson was the center. Off the bench, though, Tim Thomas actually averaged about 11 points a game for this team, and Lindsey Hunter actually averaged 10. They also had Scott Williams, who was pretty good for them in the playoffs. They also had a rookie, Michael Redd, on this squad, and a young Rafir Alston, skip to my Lou as well. 52-30 on the regular season, good enough for the second seed in the Eastern Conference, but they lost in 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. And actually, this year was the first time they even got out of the first round since that year. So it's been that long, and I mean, that team was really close, actually just slightly closer than the team this year on getting to the NBA Finals, so I figured I have to put them pretty high on this list. At number 7, we got the 1974-1975 Golden State Warriors. This team's main scorer on the team was Rick Barry, and they also had Jamal Wilkes, who was an all-star caliber player. They also had Clifford Ray, who was a really good rebounder. Butch Beard was a pretty solid role player, shooting guard for the squad. And then Charles Johnson was the point guard. Off the bench, some notable players, one being Jeff Mullins, and the other being Derek Dickey. This team was 48-34, which is good enough for the best record in the conference. And they got all the way to the finals, and they actually won the championship as well. If you guys remember, I made a video a while ago, 1975 playoffs, resimmed in 2K. This is actually the team that won the title in that specific season. So, yeah, and considering there's no Rick Barry teams, and also some other guys like Jamal Wilkes and Clifford Ray aren't that bad either, I figured I had to put them on this list. At number 6, we got the Philadelphia 76ers from the 1966-1967 season. Wilt Chamberlain had crazy numbers, 24 points, 24 rebounds, and 8 assists on the year. Also, Hal Greer was a 20-point-per-game scorer. Chet Walker was a really good small forward for this team. Same goes for Billy Cunningham at the power forward spot. Wally Jones was a nice role player at the point guard position. And then Luke Jackson was a really good scorer off the bench. 68-13 record, got them the best record in the Eastern Conference, and they took that all the way to the finals, where they eventually won the NBA championship too. And I just think the fact that this team had 4 people that scored over 18 a game, because Billy Cunningham and also Chet Walker both scored over 18 points per game, and not to mention Wilt Chamberlain and Hal Greer already. I think this team is really loaded and could be useful in 2K. At number 5, we got the 1982-1983 Philadelphia 76ers. Now, if you've played 2K for a while, you might realize that this team has actually already been in 2K. Moses Malone, obviously, was the star player, the MVP of the season and Finals MVP. Dr. J, who was a perennial All-Star and a Hall of Fame player. Maurice Cheeks, who was an All-Star for the season. And really, so was Andrew Toney at the shooting guard spot. Mark Ivoroni, who was the starting power forward for this team. Off the bench, they had Bobby Jones, who was a really good scorer for them. And then Clement Johnson was not a bad rebounder. The team was 65-17, easily won the Eastern Conference in terms of record, and easily won the NBA championship 4-zip over the Lakers. So this team, I think, got taken out, I'm assuming, because Moses Malone wasn't in the game for a year. I think it's because they didn't have his rights, which might be after he actually passed away, rest in peace. But I don't understand why they don't bring him back, because now he was in 2K19, my team, at the end of the year. So I mean, it only makes sense to bring him back. I mean, they were in it already. Moses Malone wasn't in the game, they took him out. They put him back in, so put the team back in, please. At number 4, we got the 2009-2010 Los Angeles Lakers. This team had Kobe Bryant, who was a perennial All-Star, MVP candidate, and just one of the best ever. Pau Gasol, who was an All-Star for this team. You also had Lamar Odom, who was one of the best bench players in the league at this point. Andrew Bynum, who was a really young double-double guy. You also had Ron Artest, who came up really big for them actually in the playoffs. And then Derek Fisher was the starting point guard and was a veteran who had been there for a while. 57-25 record, that got them the first seed in the Western Conference. They went to the finals and they actually won 4 games to 3. Now, you could have the 2008-2009 Lakers team on here, but I like this team better. 1, because, obviously they won the championship. 2, because I feel like Ron Artest was more iconic for the Lakers than Trevor Ariza was, who was a starting small forward the year before. And 3, they got revenge on the Celtics from 2008. So I just feel like all that together makes this the team that should be in 2K. At number 3, we got the 2008-2009 Orlando Magic. Dwight Howard was the superstar for this team. Hedo Turkoglu was kind of the guy that did just about everything, could run the offense for him. Rashard Lewis was an all-star for the season. Same thing goes for Jameer Nelson at the point guard spot. And then a rookie, Courtney Lee, was playing the shooting guard position. Now off the bench, J.J. Redick provided a really good scoring punch for them. Rafir Alston as a backup point guard. Michael Pietrus was a pretty good defender. And then Marcin Gortat was a pretty good rebounder off the bench too. The team was 59-23 in the regular season. They got the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference, and they still managed to get to the NBA Finals. Just the 2nd time in franchise history. Unfortunately, though, they lost to the LA Lakers. But considering this team was really deep, had a really good starting lineup, 3 All-Stars, maybe 4 if you put Turkoglu in that discussion. It's just a team destined for 2K. At number 2, we got the 1994-1995 Indiana Pacers. This team was led by Reggie Miller, who was a 20-point-per-game scorer. Rick Smits had a really good year, too, averaged about 17 and 7. Mark Jackson played like a traditional point guard for the year. Derek McKee was also not a bad role player. Dale Davis was good for 10 and 10 a night. And then off the bench, Byron Scott gave you about 10 points per game. And the other Davis, Antonio, played a lot like Dale, but like off the bench, 52-30. This team was the second seed in the East. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals and lost in 7, unfortunately. But this would be such a fun team to use. I mean, it all depends on if they allow the rights for Reggie Miller or get his rights, But Reggie Miller, Rick Smits, Mark Jackson, and I mean the Davis brothers. It's not a too stacked of a team, but it definitely would be a team that would get used a lot in 2K. And at number 1, we got the 1992-1993 Phoenix Suns. This team was led by Charles Barkley, who was actually MVP of the season, averaged about 25 points per game. Kevin Johnson, who was a multiple-time All-Star as well. Dan Marley, who actually made the All-Star team for this season at 2. You also got Richard Dumas, who was a young star about to be. Unfortunately, his career ended early, but he averaged about 16 points per game for the squad. Then you also got Mark West at the center position. Off the bench, they had Danny Ainge, who was a really good shooter. You got Tom Chambers, who was a high flyer, very athletic. And then you also got some other guys like Oliver Miller, who was a really good rebounder. And even Cedric Sabalas, who was not too bad either. 62-20 record, best record in the Western Conference. They got to the NBA Finals. Unfortunately, though, lost in 6 games. But again, just like Reggie Miller, they need to somehow get the rights for Charles Barkley, put him in the game. And I mean, this team wouldn't be like the best team out there, but it sure would be definitely one of the most fun to use. And I know everyone's been asking for this team for the longest time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like this type of content, because I mean, this is the stuff I like to make videos on. And really, I hope you guys like the whole list in general, all 10 parts. I thought I was just trying to make a fun series for you guys to see. And maybe who knows, Ronnie sees this video and some of these teams get added in. I don't know, but it's whatever. I just really want some of these teams to be in the game. Also, you can follow me on Instagram or on Twitter. They'll both be showing up on the screen, and you'll be able to see. There is where I post actually some notifications for like what's coming on the channel or when I actually upload. So you'll be able to get a good idea if you follow me there. And I have some stuff in store for the next few weeks. So if you guys follow me there, you'll be able to see everything up to date. But I think that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed once again. And I'm out. Peace.